Personal circumstances put us in a very challenging situation. I think it's today 75 days that our eldest son was injured, and our second son was also injured. They were both injured in battle. Thankfully, our oldest son, Jonathan, has recovered, got married on the date he was supposed to get married, and thank you. And now our big debate with him is that he's back in active duty. What level of active duty as a combat, as a MEMPE, a company commander in San Khanem, is an issue of tremendous angst and debate in our family. I'm normally very good at finding win-wins. This isn't so easy. We had really a heart-to-heart last night, and it's not so easy. It's hard for him to understand the pain of parents and the angst of parents concerned about their son going into battle when another son is taken hostage. And it's very, very difficult, and we cannot undermine the fact that a young man who is an exceptional soldier, whose brother is missing, who's lost many, many friends, whose life he feels has prepared him to go with these soldiers, to stop him from doing that. It's been excruciatingly difficult, and we haven't yet reached resolve. The moment he is with his soldiers in the base which prepares paratroopers. So he's preparing the new recruits, but that preparation ends. And what happens after that preparation ends is a huge challenge that we are dealing with, because you never want to limit your children. We've never ever limited our children. And he's a very values-based young man, and when a child believes that this is their path and what they should be doing on every level, it's difficult to limit. He said, "Mom and Dad, I'll never ever cause you pain. I'm your son and I will not cause you pain. But I really do believe that as important as the mitzvah of kibbut Abba Aim is, defending the Jewish people today is more important. But I will not cause you additional pain. But we don't want to limit our children." And it's very, very difficult. I don't know how to resolve it, but we will have it resolved. Rabbi Ramon's been involved as well, a leading general in the army as well, and we're trying to find resolve to it. And I told him yesterday that, Jonathan, I'm a fervent believer that there's always a win-win solution. He said he doesn't see a win-win in this way. I said, there's always a win-win. I said, Mommy, we will not limit you to the extent that you feel it's going against everything you believe in, because that's win-lose. But we can't just willy-nilly say, do whatever you want, because that's lose-win. And you can't really understand what we're going through. I said, I can't, as painful as this is for me, I can't begin to imagine how painful it is for my wife. I didn't give birth to Daniel. I never worry about what Daniel's wearing and what he's eating. My wife does every single day. And it's an impossible situation. And I said, you can't, I know that you can't. And he said, Dad, I can't have empathy for you right now because I don't have empathy for myself. I can only deal with this if I put my head down and do what I believe is my responsibility to do. He's lost commanders of his. He's lost soldiers of his. And he's dealing with how he's dealing with it. And in any win-win situation, you can't impose on somebody else. And he's a good boy, he'll do what we want him to do, but relationships are not making people feel that they have to do what you want to do. It's finding a win-win. And we will find a win-win. I'm a very, very, very big believer in win-win. And we'll work it out. My wife and I said this morning, we'll work it out. Our youngest son, Daniel, has been nutak kesher. The army says we've had no contact with him for 75 days. He's also an officer in the Israeli army. He was positioned in Gaza for Shabbat with his tank crew. And since then, we have no contact with him. A very difficult knowledge that we received 3 weeks ago is that he was also injured on the day. They found the blood in the tank, which is all his blood. Thankfully, the level of injury does not mean necessarily that he has a fatal injury. But I think until then we had our head above water, especially my wife, and now it's keeping just coming up for air, especially for my wife. I give these talks. I'm more of a public figure. So I'm able to put things into a broader perspective. I'm the Meshuggah Zionist in the family as well. And therefore, when you're a Meshuggah Zionist, and being in Israel connects with your deepest ideals. We all pay price for our ideals. People say, do we regret making Aliyah? I don't regret making Aliyah for 1 minute, because I did what we believed and believe is the right thing for a Jew to do. Do we know how things would have been different? The what if question. Who knows the what ifs? We don't play the what if games. And if we stay in South Africa, and if we don't know how things work out, and it's a pointless exercise because you've got nothing to compare it to. You don't have 9 years in South Africa that you lived compared to the 9 years. You don't know. It's a pointless exercise. In life, we only have foresight, not hindsight. We only have the ability to make decisions that we believe are the right decisions. And for me and our family, I'm just very, very, very blessed that for two things in our decision to make Aliyah. It's number one, it stemmed from all the right reasons. We never left South Africa. A lot of people have left South Africa. They left South Africa because of crime. They left South Africa because of a dwindling community. The problem is when you leave a country, you sometimes run away from your problems. The problem is that your problems don't run away from you. One thing I found in life is that the people, a good friend of mine visited many ex-South Africans around the world, and he said, what I found, Rabbi Perez? I found that all the people who left South Africa because of the problems and were unhappy in South Africa, they're unhappy in Australia, they're unhappy wherever they are. And the people who were happy in South Africa and went somewhere else are happy somewhere else. Our problems continue with us. The one thing I've learned in life is you cannot run away from your challenges, because your challenges run after you. They're part of you. You have to deal with your challenges. I've got a whole long board on this, on Yaakov, which I'll just briefly mention to you, but it's not the topic what I want to talk about, how Yaakov, and you came late, which is fine, it's all good. I feel,
I'll tell the pilot to lay the plane.
Pilot. Yeah.
Because we want to hear you.
No, the problem is I've got another group waiting downstairs for me, but so not because of that, but, and I'm not blaming you for coming late. I'm just exonerating myself from having to just have to be briefer than I would like to. I've sent Rabbi Mervis down to see what time I'm talking to the other group. So, I don't know what I was saying. So Yaakov, I noticed only this year that Yaakov is forever running away. His mother says to him, Kum brach paden aram, go away, your brother's trying to kill you. When he leaves Lavan, he says, Ki borach, he's running away. The problem is when you're running away, you're always running. And Yaakov spends a lot of time running away, and eventually he says, let me own up. I did steal the blessings from my brother. Yes, I've got all the justification in the world. He's got a taina on me. I've got to face him. And then in Parashat Vayishlach, he says to his brother Esav, I'm coming back to Israel. And the sages debate whether it was the right thing to do. Do you want to wake up the sleeping bear? But Yaakov thought it was the right thing to do because Yaakov wanted to confront his demons. I have to own what I did. And if I'm going to keep running, I'm going to keep running. So I'm going to own what I did. And he owned what he did. And yes, when you confront your demons, sometimes the demons get the better of you. They injured him. The demon of Esav hurt him. We still today do not eat the sciatic nerve because Yaakov was limping, maybe for the rest of his life. When you confront your fears and your challenges and that you have to confront, it has a price. But boy, oh boy, does running away have a price as well. And I believe only when Yaakov was able to confront his demons, what he had done, he overcame his demons. And I only noticed this year that when Rashi says on the Pasuk, your name will no longer be Yaakov, but Israel. Rashi says, your name will no longer be Yaakov, the one who's Yaakov Eliezer Pamayim, the one who keeps deceiving and cutting corners, because his brother had a tine on him. Even the blessings that you took from me and the birthright, which brother, is it the right thing to your brother who comes in hungry from hunting and you say, yes, I'll give you food if you sell me on? It's zeloze, and therefore you have a tiner to come along and say that you took the birthright and the blessings from me in a way which does not is unbecoming, and I therefore have a taina on you. When Yaakov wrestled with the angel of Esav and made him bless him, Esav's spiritual force gave up in the tainas. He said, you beat me fair and square. You beat me fair and square. They belong to you. Your name will no longer be Yaakov, the one who, when we don't confront, we lie, we deceive, we manipulate. We just can't confront. We know when our children are lying to us. Often it's just because it's hard to own up. We all know. You don't have to be a child to know it's hard to look something in the face and own up to something. So when we make it a little bit hard for our children don't want to come, so they, we all sometimes do that. It's hard to face things, and when you finally is able to face things, Rashi says there, your name is no longer Yaakov, the one who, Yaakov is a Parmaim, who acts with deception. It's now Yisrael, the one who knows how to confront, who knows how to struggle, who knows how to contend and to overcome. That's who you are now. And therefore, you're no longer Yaakov, who's the deceiver. You're now Yisrael, the one who deserves the blessings and the firstborn, because you deserve it. You want it fair and square. You deserve it fair and square. And then his name becomes Yisrael. Now, I only noticed this year that his name should have been Sarel. What does Sarel mean? Sarel is the one who fought. Sar or Srara is to fight or to contend, to wrestle. The one who wrestled with God, because it says that his name is Yisrael. Why? Ki Sarita. Because you fought and contended with Anashim, with spiritual forces and physical forces, and you overcame.